Planning board meeting. Everyone,
Hi.
welcome. All right, does anybody have anything for open forum? No. All right, so Wayne, I just want to, you mentioned something about that they might move the select board meeting tonight.
Yes, but they'll have to open it and then move it.
Okay. they
Over
would do
there.
that way.
Yeah.
So how would we know? Because
We're gonna go over it.
we're gonna go anyway. We're gonna go, okay, all right, so the select board is meeting about some working committees for the planning board after this. So I'm certainly going over, if we all want to go over, we're welcome to. If so, if there are four of us, we would convene a meeting there. We would open our meeting. We would close this meeting and open one there as well. So we'll find out if we're going into that. So.
I have something after this.
Oh, that's totally fine, totally fine. Okay, so first up, we have a series of administrative items. Sometimes Lauren, Tag's not here, correct? So Lauren, sometimes what we do is we will open them all up and say, do we want to move these as a single item or do we want to review them one by one? But I think maybe since it's the first time that we've been going through, maybe for the first couple of times we go through this with Tag, you and Tag, it might make sense to kind of go one by one, then we can move them as a group later. Does that make sense with everybody? Everybody okay with that? Okay, so the first one is ZBA case 2024-12, 1 Abrams Hill Road, which I believe is a pier, correct?
The boardwalk,
Pardon?
boardwalk,
Spring Street's okay.
Oh,
Springs
big-
Pier, Abrams is boardwalk.
Boardwalk, okay,
Yep.
I'm sorry.
Different state.
Water.
If Paul's shaking his head, it's out here.
Okay. All right.
Two
so,
different things.
Are you here for Abrams Hill?
Yes, I am.
All right, would you like to walk us through what you're doing?
Sure. My name's Kevin Dolan. I'm here to represent Camilla Hammer. Our proposed project includes the installation of a seasonally removable boardwalk, gangway, and a float to provide recreational access to Duxbury Bay. A portion of the project is located within the salt marsh and tidal flats. This removable boardwalk is about 88 feet in length. There'll be about 28 inches in width. It will consist of an aluminum frame with wooden planks spaced to allow the adequate sunlight to penetrate below. We'll have a total of 5.5 sections at 16 feet. And the boardwalk will be supported by about 14 piles installed within the salt marsh. Please note, no piles will be installed below the mean low high water. For more information on the mechanical piles, you can refer to the details in the plan that we attached. All sections of the boardwalk will be installed each spring, secured to the permanent piles, and then removed in the fall and stored upland. Removal of the gangway and float. Proposed gangway is about 30 feet in length and 20 inches width as well. The gangway's aluminum will be secured to the end of the boardwalk to extend out onto that float. The gangway is gonna span a small portion of the salt marsh of the tidal flat, but does not require any additional piles. Noted from above. The float
What's the
plan
relief you're looking for from the zoning board?
to install the boardwalk over the salt marsh. It's a special permit.
Special.
Okay, man, sorry.
No, other than that, we're gonna extend roughly 128 feet from the seawall that's there now, ultimately to the end of the float, once we're all said and done.
Thank you. Does anybody on the board have any questions for that? So I have a question. This might maybe, this is sort of a technical question. What's the difference between a pier and a boardwalk?
So piers, more physical in nature, it stays there forever. The surface you're walking across is attached to the piles that are driven on the ground, so it never moves. It's there all year round. The purpose of the boardwalk is it's a seasonally thing you can put in, so therefore there's no obstructions during the off season. Things can, the habitat can still maintain and do everything it needs to do, because the vehicle piers are, in nature this size versus a 12, 14-inch wooden pile.
It's like the property that's along St. George and Bluefish, where the property is actually on the north side and then there's a.
They have like a ramp
Yes.
going out to there. I don't know if that would be considered, that's more like a gangway, if you will. I have a photo of it here, actually, if that helps.
No, I understand what you're saying. I was just trying to familiarize myself with
it's basically like 28 inches above the surface of the salt marsh. And so effectively, you know, if you drove by it on April, so you can't really drive by it because it's kind of cut down there. But it kind of just disappears into the salt marsh, and then even better, when you pull the ramps throughout the off season, it truly disappears.
All right, so for Lauren and Tag, usually with these types of things, it's a special permit. If we look at it, we say it looks like they're following the rules, and we typically defer it on to ZBA, and then ZBA, for instance, discusses. What, does anybody have any thoughts?
I spoke to one of the select board members a couple of weeks ago, who expressed to me that they were hopeful that there would be a deeper review by the planning board of these proposals.
Okay.
And I said, well, that's this is a recommendation that the planning board makes to the ZBA. But that the person I spoke to was a former planning board member and expressed that they took a much deeper dive than we do, and they would love it if the planning board took a deeper dive on these proposals.
Okay.
That, having said it, I now pass it along. I don't have anything that I'd like to dive deeper on with respect to this proposal.
I've actually had a kind of similar conversation with somebody from the select board, that they wish that the planning board was doing more, sort of talking more about it and not just passing things along. But I think that, maybe that's something we can talk about with Paul, kind of about how to have some of those conversations. That makes sense? Do you think that that's something, since you brought it up, Wayne, is that something that you think it would be helpful?
I just wanted to relate that largely, quite frankly, I'm gonna see these proposals twice no matter what.
Right.
So I don't feel like I need to take a much
Okay.
deeper dive.
Okay. All right, so, seeing no questions, do we have a motion to, defer this to the ZBA?
So moved.
Any second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, so we need we'll vote to, whether to defer the ZBA case. Oh, actually, can I read this? Yes, okay. ZBA case 2024-12, 1 Abrams Hill Road to the ZBA. All those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? I thank you, that motion passes. Next up is, so Kevin, thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions for any?
No question.
Thank you. All right, thank you.
When's the ZBA hearings?
I don't remember the date. I haven't had that much far.
Second Thursday in May.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up, the next administrative item is the ZBA case 2024-13, Sherman Street. Paul is an local engineer, I believe he's providing us info. Would you like to give us an overview, Paul?
Sure. Thank you. For the record, I'm Paul Brogan with Seacoast Engineering in town, and I represent Jennifer and Eric Berg, owners of property at 7 Spring Street at the end of southern tip of Standish Shore, right abutting the cellar hole at the end, southern end of Standish Shore in Kingston Bay. We had before you a couple pictures of the photo, and on the second Thursday in May, we're going before the zoning board for a special permit to construct a permanent pier on their property. You can see the existing wooden stairs that come down the coastal bank from the property at 7 Spring Street. We did a notice of intent filing with conservation, received an order of conditions. You have that in the filing that we have with the zoning board. They have a copy of the order of conditions. But specifically, the project here is different from the preceding project. This is a permanent structure. We have basically 10-inch round piles, 10-foot fence to construct. Obviously, the typical Duxbury wooden pier that most people are familiar with in town. Customize the design for this location. You can see where the stairs coming down the coastal bank. We will be tying into that about 4.5, 5 feet above the existing coastal beach. The walkway will be 127 feet in length with a 4 foot in width by 127 feet in length and a 6 by 8 foot platform at the end. So the total structure is the 127 plus 835 feet permanent installation. Then we have the seasonal 3 foot by 25 foot aluminum gangway, and 10 foot by 20 foot floating feet. So it's about 35 to 38 additional feet of seasonal use with the gangway and float. From the fall, the float gets returned back to Bayside or Bluefish, or Long Point, remaining where they contract out. And then basically the gangway gets seasonally installed, and the inside of the 4 foot walkway slides right in and gets stored there for the winter time. So basically, when you look at the property, it's probably a little bit easier. You can see where the is the house over here, Spring Street is at the end, the house, the coastal bank in here, and then you have the wooden stairs at the end, 127 feet, plus the 8 feet of platform to the gangway and float at the end.
Which side is the cellar hole on?
Cellar hole is on the west side, so that would be. So if you're looking at, let's just say you're
Yeah.
heading north from Kingston Bay, heading towards the wind. You're heading northbound, cellar hole's to the left, the Hawkins property is to the right. Then the third property is right here in the middle. So it's kind of a nice quiet spot. We do have walkers frequently along the beach, so in accordance with the chapter 91 requirements of the Commonwealth, the crossover stairs are typically required for these sort of locations. It's shown on the plan. As most people know, the zoning board requires a special permit, but then the state requires the chapter 91 waterways license, which is a 210-day review period by the Commonwealth. Then we also need a general permit from the Army Corps of Engineers, and they have a similar but different review from a federal level itself. So we get local, state, and federal all dealing with these sort of peer reviews. But again, it's permanent construction. The license from the Commonwealth is a 30-year transferable license under these sort of procedures. It basically takes about 10 to 12 months of permitting to get all the permits. Cost of construction is not inexpensive, if you will. But this is what the homeowners want done. This is what the regulations, as strict as they are, allowed to be done. It is what it is at this point in time.
Peer review, love it.
Yeah. One more thing, we go before Wayne and, you know, the zoning board for special permit, Article 400, 900. And when you talk about doing additional reviews, I'm just trying to sit here and think, Kristen, about what the planning board can do that's not done separately but equally by conservation, and especially the zoning board when you're dealing with, for those of us that have been before them for a few years. Okay, we go before them Wednesday afternoon, so, you know, they've seen these peers before, so I'm just trying to look at the planning board's jurisdiction, maybe Paul can take a look at that may be unique, that, you know, could add a little bit more supplemental information to the zoning board to kind of collect for the meeting in May.
My sense of that conversation was that, I mean, this thing gets literally this kind of a application is 3 or 4 bites of the apple in terms of the review.
Yeah.
But, like some of the issues around pre-existing non-conforming,
Right.
expansion of pre-existing non-conforming, I think the select board would like us to take a tighter look at.
I have 2 questions. Wait, what did you say was to the west, cellar hole?
Cellar hole for this.
Alden Cellar Hole, that's the old,
It's the.
called the cellar hole.
Isn't it
Miles
the
Standish
I
Cellar
didn't
Hole.
see this, right, okay.
original homestead?
Yeah. that's
Oh,
what it
okay,
is.
all right. I was
So
like,
it's still a cellar hole.
okay. All right, and then so one of the things that I was actually wondering about it is I recall, I might have this property confused, isn't there a fair amount of erosion there? Is it sort of round, go around the corner, am I confusing? No?
The erosion, I think, is on the easterly, southeasterly tip of Standish Shore. You go up Spring Street to the end.
Yeah.
It's like a townhome property, and but you go further around from Standish and Priscilla Ave on the east and southeast side. There's some erosion over there.
Okay.
You bought Rickey's house, we over the woman's house, and around that southeastern tip.
I think that might be kind of also some of the conversation maybe that people are looking to the planning board to start having. It's more like, let's have a bigger look about what's happening kind of globally in town, or, you know, as opposed to just one big one property, what's happening around it.
Surprisingly, this property here is protected from the northeast, wide open from the south and southwest. Where they've had issues, again, the southeastern corner of Standish Shore gets hit from both sides, east, northeast, in the south and southeast norms.
Alright, thank
It's unique out there, but it's a great spot. Any other
You actually
questions?
live at the top of the hill right there, you get hit every.
They're not in the velocity zone. We're high and dry as far as the house and the
Yeah.
backyard is
Yeah.
concerned. But obviously down below, I've seen a lot of people just walking that beach and saying, that's why the stairs will be heavily used, especially like. That's why the height of the walkway has to meet the state requirements. And we're governed also with the zoning board requirements of the lowest height that's accepted by all the other agencies in the state.
Although you made me anxious about the 5 feet there when we started.
Go through resilience and think about that.
Yeah.
You talk about raising things up because of stuff in Halls Corner, I mean, stuff in, Snug Harbor and a few other areas that we can get on
Yep.
the agenda,
We
right?
get the
There's still
idea.
things to look at. Okay. Any other
questions?
questions?
All right, so we have no more questions. Do we have a motion to, defer, refer this on to the ZBA?
So moved.
All right, any discussion on the motion to refer the ZBA case 2024-13 7 Spring Street on to ZBA? No, I will go ahead and take a vote. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Abstaining, motion passes to defer ZBA case 2024-13 to ZBA. Our next up are the minutes, March 13th, and thanks, Paul.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank you. Goodbye.
And that's our, next up is minutes from the March 11th and April meeting. So I'm back, question. And people who would remind me, change my room to this, and I do, so I can try. If somebody wasn't at the meeting, can they still approve the minutes?
I think the answer to that is yes.
I agree.
Okay.
There's been a lot of back and forth, but
I think the consensus answer is yes, but we have a,
I think conservatively, we have abstained if there's a quorum to approve. But that's more, I think that's just more to be conservative than anything else.
So abstain or go with it?
Historically,
Yep.
it's, if there's a quorum to approve the minutes.
Yep.
Anyone who has been absent has abstained from
Got
the
it.
minutes that they were missing the meeting from. But I think that that's probably 80% of the time, and then.
Okay.
That's not a town council
But we.
recommendation, but
We have a quorum. Do we feel comfortable if the 3 of us vote and if our 2 members were to abstain? Does that work, anyone?
well, the March one's Wayne wasn't there either.
so it's gonna be tough.
Okay.
If we're gonna do that. Yeah.
Or do we just vote because we're here and had a chance to review them? Yeah.
So we asked this question, and I don't know that it was town council opinion,
Okay,
but when I asked this question with respect to the ZBA minutes, the consensus answer was everybody can vote irrespective of whether you.
all right. Otherwise, I imagine that could be sort of rabbit hole, like every time somebody has.
We try to do it
Yeah.
every single time and try to figure, do we have
Yeah.
3 people who are at the
Next
meeting?
meeting, okay. All right, so do we have a motion, to discuss the, March 11th minutes? Actually, why don't we just bundle these together? We have, minutes for March 11th, March and April 8th to review. Do we have a motion to approve them? Second, do we have any discussion on the minutes? Corrections, additions, and missing note?
I thought they were extremely low.
Always.
As always.
Thank you. All right, seeing we have no discussion, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor of approving the March 11th and April 8th minutes?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, no. All right, motion carries. All right, next up on the agenda is the 333 Franklin Street subdivision. I had the same question, Emily.
Yeah, this one is more tricky for me. I'm not sure that I have been to every meeting of the 333, Franklin Street subdivision.
Scott can't vote on it. He's abstaining.
Yeah, well, we already have the decision, it's just to sign the plans.
Oh, it's already been decided.
Yeah.
Okay, That's,
So what do we need to do?
They submitted revised plans based on the, decision. In the past, we've had a separate vote to endorse the plan.
what are the revisions?
It was just adding a street and approved by the town historian.
Well, and is this also that they went to the street in before they actually did bonds? Is that part of it too? Yeah. Usually they put a bond up and they do the street. They're saying, we're just gonna go ahead and do the street now because we have a contractor available. It's a little out of order, but actually it's probably just fine.
Did they submit a covenant?
No, that's the thing they're waiting to, they want to delay that because it'll take a while for their mortgage lender to sign it and get it back to us before they want to start construction. And I asked Chris about it and he was fine with that.
All the other thoughts?
Usually we get a signed covenant at the time that the board endorses the plan. So you're,
What's the risk,
trusting these individuals that they will follow up with that.
what's the risk to the town?
So we have a decision that has probably not been recorded yet, because usually they're recorded at the same time as a subdivision plan. And covenant gets recorded simultaneously, and that's the legal document that says that the owner is gonna build the project as shown on those plans and in accordance with the conditions in the decision. So it's a little concerning that you don't have that covenant, and, I'd be more comfortable to have that in hand before any shovels went in the ground.
Is the contractor posting a bond?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
May I speak?
Yes, please.
Paul Pedro, 333 Franklin Street. The mortgage was sold twice since I took the mortgage. It's owned by some company down in Atlanta. It's very difficult to communicate with these people to get them to sign it. I've had a tree guy lined up and a contractor lined up for back in March. We went through 3 meetings here to work with the abutters on stormwater. I've got these guys lined up for the first week of May. If I lose them, it's gonna get pushed off even further. I'm doing the best I can. There's no risk. It's our land. We're building a road. You guys have to certify the road. So there's really no risk to the town that we're not gonna build it as it's on the plans. We're not selling anything. We're not conveying any properties. We just want to get the road started, and then the road won't be certified until the town engineer certifies the road, so we can't use it. Or whatever stipulation you want to put in there. I'm just trying to stay on a timeline and not, and it's just challenging with the mortgage companies these days, so. Just trying to do everything as right as possible, but McDougal is the contractor. They've done a lot of work here in this town. There's no utilities under the road. It said it's basically a glorified driveway. So I'm just asking that we sign the plans, get started, and then we can get you all paperwork before we convey anything whatsoever.
Paul, if we condition the plan approval on, you can't sell anything until we get the covenant, does that cover us?
So they can't give any lots until the planning board signs the lot release.
Right.
And, so that's what
So
we're
that's
called
the
up.
safety net, sort of?
There's one other, thing I just wanted to mention to the board and to the owner. When I looked at the plans today, I asked Emily if Franklin Street's a scenic road. Looked it up and said it was. I contacted the project engineer, Rick Rady, and they said, you may need to have a scenic road hearing if there are, trees within the right of way. And then I looked again at the plans and saw the stone wall running right along the edge of the road, and that seems to be in the right of way as well. So you're not gonna wanna hear this, but you may need to, have a public hearing, a scenic road public hearing for the planning board to, allow for the removal of those trees right where the road's gonna cut into alter the stone wall.
So Mr. Grady called me about 10 minutes before I walked into this room. I think Emily can attest that I've been pretty much a pest, emailing her every other day. Is there anything else I need to do? Is there anything else I need to do? Is there anything else I need to do? So we can get started. And then to hear this, 30 minutes before this meeting is extremely frustrating. If you look at the plans, we understand it's a historic area. If you look on the plans, it says where we're cutting the wall to put the road, we're replacing that stone in where the current driveway is. It's already on those plans. We have to take down 3 trees. So I will go through the paperwork that we need to do, but I'm just, again, trying to get started. I feel like I've been very helpful with the abutters, and I'm not trying to pull any punches here. I just, you guys all know how hard it is to find contractors and get them lined up and commit to your project, so. I'm here to ask that we can move
I
forward.
can work with you on that, help you through that process.
It was great. I spoke with Rick as I was driving over here, and he's gonna have the paperwork filed tomorrow.
Okay, good.
And what was the, have you done anything like that?
I haven't been time within here, so I don't know any comments.
I want to just verify that, but I know, because 30 some years ago, we had scenic road hearings and we made with the law and been involved with it.
So you did give us a general overview of that whole.
I want to check the bylaw, if there may be, a certain diameter tree that triggers it, not, little saplings. So that's one thing that I have to check, but, the planning board, if they're proposing to, remove trees within the right of way on the scenic road or alter a stone wall, planning board's required to hold a public hearing. Almost all the time, the planning board approves that. But what some communities have done in the past is have, like a tree fund. And so if there's an existing tree that's removed as part of this process, the planning board has asked the owner, the developer, to make a donation to a tree fund. Sometimes they have tree farms where they have little saplings growing, and so anyways, it's a way to keep if one tree is removed, towns ask for, 1 or 2 trees to be replaced or to money to go into some kind of a donation fund.
So it sounds like we need to, defer this to the next meeting. So we make a public meeting for that, or what's your advice here?
If in fact this is triggering that bylaw, which I think it is, and I think Rick Grady's probably checking on it, then, they'll apply and we'll schedule a public hearing. I have to look at, because it's not, the zoning act or the subdivision control law, I'll look at what the timeline is for advertising. That might be shorter. And we'll get them on the agenda, at the next possible meeting and take care of this so we don't pull them back. With circling back to the covenant, if the board's gonna go forward with endorsing the plan, I would recommend that the motion to endorse the plan include some language about requiring that covenant to come in as soon as possible. And that way, I think you're double covered to just reinforce that.
If the plan is signed and then recorded, then I can schedule the pre-construction meetings with Pat Brennan. And I've already had 2 meetings with Jim, talking about tree removal. I mean, I'm doing everything I can to move this process along. And I'm just really asking for some movement from the town, and the whole tree thing is really very frustrating, but one thing at a time. Let's get the plan recorded.
I know it's been a long process, and we appreciate you working with your neighbors, so.
Yeah.
Know that.
Trying to be a good name.
Yeah, we appreciate that. How does the rest of the board feel about if we did put in, Paul's suggestion to actually endorse about with some restrictions that you had suggested?
well, site plan, but what Paul suggested and required of government coming as soon as possible. Have some time.
We need to put a date on that, or,
Sounds like it's a real asset. I mean,
okay,
We're
Now,
talking
obviously,
about
the
a
road-
mortgage
Yeah.
that's been sold, and now you're gonna try to chase
Twice.
somebody down the line. That's-
In Atlanta, exactly. The road is 6 to 8 years, supposedly 8 weeks for it, and the road might be done before they cut that sign, but I'm gonna do the best I can to chase everything down. I just want to proceed. I appreciate your assistance.
any other comments, questions?
I one disclosure that doesn't have any to do with my ability to vote, on this. With like fairly impartially, but Paul and I served on the zoning board for many years.
Okay.
And
It's almost a lifetime ago, when
yes,
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. For your service. All right, how do we want to, do we have a motion to actually have to raise this?
I make a motion to endorse the subdivision plan for 333 Franklin Street, conditioned on receiving the covenant at the earliest possible date.
second,
Any discussion? All right, so we have a motion to endorse 333 Franklin Street with a restriction. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Those abstaining, all right, the motion carries. Thank you for your help and your patience and for being so forthright. We appreciate that.
I appreciate what you guys do. If I could please be on the next hearing, for the scenic road, I really appreciate that as well. Thank you so much. Emily, you've been great help. Thank you.
good to see you.
Thank you.
I'll follow up and, review the regulations.
If it turns out that that's the case, and let's see if we can figure out a way that we have a trigger so that we know that ahead of time. Because I know that.
I think it's just we have so few subdivisions, so, less than a little thing for the.
All right, thanks, Paul. All right, next up is reorganization of the planning board. So we need to appoint a clerk. Would anybody like to volunteer, or would you like to, anybody like to nominate or be nominated?
I'll volunteer.
Oh, awesome, Jen, great, I guess. All right, so,
I'd like to nominate Jen to be the clerk.
yeah, I was gonna do the same thing, Wayne.
I figured you guys did that in my absence, but.
We wouldn't be waiting for you and Wayne to be here. Wonderful, thank you. All right, so since Jen has volunteered, do we vote? Like we just said,
Yeah, I think so.
okay. All right, do I need to have a motion for that?
I don't know, I moved, somebody want to second. Second.
Second, okay, all right, there's a motion on the floor to appoint Jen as the clerk. Do we have any discussion? All right, all those in favor of voting for Jen to be appointed as clerk, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nays? Nays, okay. All right, thank you, Jen, for volunteering to be clerk. Next up are committee appointments. And this is the, basically, we all act in some capacity as a planning board committees on reports around town. There are a variety of them. Emily has listed them here. And I'm currently on the coastal resiliency task force. I'd like to stay on that. Unless somebody's got a burning desire to go coastal for them. Jen, what are you currently?
Diversity,
Diversity.
the, fourth or fifth one down,
And how, what are your thoughts? You want to keep doing that?
Yeah.
Do something? Yeah. Wayne, are you doing anything right now?
I'm not, but I was hoping that at the conclusion of tonight, in front of the select board, that I would end up doing house corner working.
Okay, which would be great. Yes.
Because I drive through house corner 4 or 5 times a
Right.
day.
Right, so that is a separate thing. So we're going to have working groups and we have planning board liaisons. You're kind of like our health liaison to the CBA.
Yeah, I would probably,
I'll be easy.
If there is ZBA liaison,
No.
you can say probably that's
Yeah.
easy.
You can think about it.
Ted, which one do you want?
Yes, Ted, what do you think?
Well, I'm serving on CPC for historical now. I'd like to continue CPC.
That makes sense.
Lauren, how about you?
And the metropolitan.
MAPC.
Yep.
And so,
I'll do open space.
okay, that would be great, thanks. So affordable housing trust is a new request. And then sidewalk and bike is, you know, Scott's been on anything recently? I know that you sent us a list. Like,
He was on the economic advisory committee, but they haven't met since last year, so I don't really think they're.
active.
Didn't we get rid of some committees at town hall this year? I mean, at town meeting this year.
Sure. Get rid of the climate
Oh, yeah, that was a
task
climate.
force, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. That's great, Ted, because Dave was on CBC last year. And,
And if nobody else wants to take it, I'm interested in affordable housing and getting involved with them through the Harrington Working Group. See, good opportunity for some synergy with the thing.
100% sold, as far as I'm concerned.
same, that sounds good to me. And as we need somebody for the sidewalk and bike path, so I don't know what did Scott mention anything that he might be interested in? I'd be really interested in that, but I think with the coastal task force, it takes a lot of time. So anybody's interested in that, we can ask Scott too, and then OCPC.
That's why I'm here,
Oh, yes.
because I'm the OCPC rep right now.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to stay as the alternate for some continuity, because I don't know if the plan is full-time for years to come, but OCPC doesn't require a planning board person, it's just anyone from town.
Okay,
And I've been going to the in-person and meetings, so if there's no interest, I came to say that I'm still happy to do it. And I can relay, you know, the PowerPoint bridge is on the tip. I've been going to road safety studies and visits, things I can convey to you guys, but I sit with the planning board, so we have good communication. So it's up to you guys, but that's why I'm here. I think you'd have to vote him as the delegate and me as the alternate. Right now I'm the delegate, but
Well, we can't vote until we get a new full-time planning director, that's the delegate.
and that's why I'm happy to remain a delegate, to have some sort of continuity, because they know me and I know them.
well, Allison, I would love that, I know that you're really, sort of involved there and you bring a lot to the table, and that'd be a great benefit to us.
Yeah, and being in the government now, it's like I
Right.
have my ears on the
Right.
ground, so, okay, cool, sounds good.
That would be great.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Appreciate
That's
you.
terrific, thank you
Thanks,
very
Allison.
much.
Yep.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm actually on the sidewalk committee,
Oh,
so
yes,
I'm here listening, just about the special election coming up, just hearing how what's going on, but I am a member of the sidewalk committee, so we're a fun group, we're trying to get the grant funding for, police streets, for the Washington Street project. We weren't granted, this last round, but, I think the committee's looking to hopefully do complete streets and maybe safe routes to school, I think in August is when the timeline happens. So the board's gonna do it, they're working hard on that. It's been actually very interesting.
When is the select board going to do the interviews?
I think applications are due this Friday.
For the planning board?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's this Friday. I haven't gotten any yet.
I haven't sent my name.
Evening?
I came tonight because I wanted to kind of see what was going on with the board and
Okay.
we probably see something.
I don't know, anybody who's asked twice goes to the top of my list.
and then do we know the select board meeting, they're coming, it's like May
It's tentatively for the 6th,
6th.
but it's not finalized.
So we would all want to, we actually have a planning board meeting, so that would probably actually just be opened up in the select board, and we would just, for that discussion, contribute to, do you have any questions about us?
No, just listening.
Okay.
Interestingly, with that gentleman with Franklin Street, when he applies for his lot releases through the planning board, you guys would have that chance to then review the comments.
Right.
So you would not be able to pull building permits.
Right. Right, so I kind of figured that would be one, yeah.
Yeah, already baked into the process.
All right, does anybody have anything else they want to discuss tonight?
Into those meeting postings for the select board.
Yes,
Discuss that
yeah,
before
all
we
right, so we
meet
have,
with them.
yeah. yes, so, why don't we go ahead and close this meeting, and those who are interested, head over to the select board meeting, and we can learn a little bit more about, talk a little bit more about the working groups, and I think that that's gonna be, important. Good stuff's gonna happen, as well here too. All right, so we have a motion to, close the meeting?
Sure.
Pardon? Move to adjourn,
Second?
second, all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all right.